What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolve video. Alright soldiers, in the last video we were talking about the sword reveals, and now we're going to be talking about Runecraft, and I'm not exactly sure how Runecraft is going to work for Uma EX, because the biggest rune card that we did have for the last Uma set was Agnes / Daiwa Scarlet, so hopefully we'll have some more cards that'll be able to combo with Vodka, you know, where you can buff up your entire board and stuff like that for this new set. And without missing a beat, let's look at our first card. So we have Cheval Grand, so she's a 2-cost 2/2. You can evolve her for 1 and you can race her for 1 as well, but when she comes into play Fanfare, you can select a face-up card named Carrot in your evolve deck, and if there are at least 10 Uma cards in your cemetery, you can flip it face down. Alright, so I don't know how exactly often this Fanfare is going to come up, because I know we're going to be racing a lot of our followers in the deck, so probably we're going to go for those big racing follower turns, where you're going to be racing one follower multiples in one turn. Being able to use this card to probably play off of a free ability off of one of the Uma cards you may be playing, to go ahead and flip at least one Carrot over. Alright, and moving on into Cheval Grand Evolve, so she turns into a 3/3, and twice per turn during your turn, whenever an enemy follower that took damage from a Uma card you control this turn is put into the cemetery, you can draw a card and discard a card. But on evolve, you select an enemy follower in the field and deal it 2 damage. If there are at least 10 Uma cards in your cemetery, you can deal it 4 damage instead. So I don't know if you are noticing these cards already, soldiers, but we already have our Sword of Spell Chain 10 in the Runecraft. So it looks like if we have at least 10 Uma cards in the cemetery, we're going to be getting the most out of our effects from our Runecraft followers. But on this Owns Evolve ability, you're actually able to proc this twice. So we were able to do the on evolve, deal damage to a follower, draw a card and discard a card. And if you have another spell, it's able to do another instance of a damage, or if another Uma card is going to swing in for some damage, you're able to draw a card and discard a card, so it's easier to get that 10 Uma cards in your cemetery. Alrighty, next up we have Tenino Gimlet. So it's a 4-cost 3/3. You can race her for 1, but on race you can select the enemy follower in the field, deal it 4 damage, and then give this follower +1/+1. When it comes into play Fanfare, you search your deck for a Vodka and an Uma spell that costs 1, reveal them and add them to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Alright, so the one thing that I am really loving about the Uma set so far is when you're playing a 4-cost card, you're going to be going through your deck and you're going to be getting a card. So we're going to be seeing a lot of cards like that where, oh yeah, we're on turn 4. As soon as we play a card, we're going to be searching for at least 2 cards like Vodka and then the Uma spell that's going to cost 1. And then that could be something like Trial Initiation that'll let us dig through our deck some more. Alright, but moving on, we have Narita Top Road Pink Back Shot. So she's a 5-cost 4/4. You can race her for 1 and she has Storm, but on race you give this follower +1/+1. And she also has a strike ability to banish 3 Uma followers with Storm from your cemetery. You can deal X damage to each enemy follower on the field, and X equals this follower's attack. Alright, so it looks like this is going to be kind of the boss monster for the low to the ground Storm deck. So being able to banish those 3 Uma followers with Storm, if you race this follower in the same turn, you're going to be swinging for 5 damage. And then on top of that, you're going to clear the board for 5 defense, which is pretty good in my opinion. Alright, so I think it's Versinia. So we have Versinia, she's a 4-cost 4/4. We can race her for 1 and she has Ward, but whenever a Cheval Grand or a Vivlos is put onto your field, you can select the enemy follower on the field and deal it 2 damage. When it comes to play Fanfare, you discard a Uma card and then deal 2 damage each enemy leader, and then give your leader +2 defense, while also drawing 2 cards. Alright, so my goodness, so not only are you able to check for this Cheval Grand to deal 2 damage to go ahead and draw your card and discard a card, but when you play this card, you can go ahead and discard a Uma card to deal 2 damage to the enemy leader, while also healing yourself with 2 and then drawing 2 cards for a total of 4 play points, while also having a ward. Like, this card does a lot for the deck. Alright, so we have Vivlos, so she's a 3-cost 5/2, and this card costs 2 less to play if there's a Cheval Grand or a Versinia on your field. You can also race her for 1, and she has Rush and a Sail. So essentially, if you have either Cheval Grand or the Versinia, you're going to have this as a 1-cost 5/2 with Rush and a Sail. So do be mindful when you do swing in for those big attacks into those reserved followers, because she only has that 2 defense, as you can see, so she can get easily sniped if you don't have any control on buffing your board. Alright, next up we have Daitaku Helios. So she's a 2-cost 2/2, and you can race her for 1, but when she comes into play Fanfare, you select the enemy follower on the field and deal it 1 damage. And if there's an Uma card that costs at least 4 on your field, you can deal it 3 damage instead. Alright soldiers, I can't think of the exact combo, but a lot of our followers are going to be playing our followers from our deck or looking at the top 3 and then playing them. So of course there's going to be an Uma follower that's going to be at least 4, that's I believe was in the last craft and Swordcraft, that's able to go through our deck and get a 2-cost follower and then play it. Alrighty, next up we have Sweep Tosho. So she's a 2-cost 0/1, and this card costs 2 less to play if there are at least 5 Uma spells in your cemetery. You can race her for 1, but when she comes into play Fanfare, you select a Uma spell that costs 1 in your cemetery and put it into your EX area, and it costs 1 less to play this turn. Alright, so I know I'm going to be bringing the card up a lot, but Trial Initiation is a wonderful card. Of course, there are other cards that are going to be pretty helpful that are one cost, but being able to play this for free and then being able to look at the top two to get any one of the two Uma cards that you might want are going to be pretty helpful. Alrighty, and lastly, we have Night's Dawn Auspicious Star. So it's a one-cost quick spell, so you can look at the top card of your deck. If it's an Uma card, you may reveal it and add it to your hand. If there are at least 5 Uma spells in your cemetery, you can give your leader +2 defense. Alright, so this card is actually pretty neat. So you're able to heal 2 as long as you have those 5 Uma spells in your cemetery. But being able at the end of your opponent's turn, especially on turn 1s when you're not really doing anything, being able to draw that extra card can really matter in the late game. Alright, and then we have our signatures / SP. So of course they are going to have the different signatures, which they talked about on the Facebook group. Of course, I will get into that later on in this week when we are talking about the introductions to Uma and everything that we need to know when this set does come out. But these are the signatures that you can be looking forward to for Runecraft. And I hope anyone that is going to be in search or in one of these cards is able to pick them up, because I know they're going to absolutely look beautiful and are going to be worth some money. And alrighty, soldiers, that is it for all of the Runecraft reveals. So as of right now, I'm pretty sure Grand Showdown is happening, and I think this is the last regional before we get into Uma. So once we get into the Uma EX, that's really what's going to dominate. So a lot of stuff is just going to be rotated out, and Uma's going to take over. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but anyone who's still going to be splashing around with sets 12 and 13, you know, I hope you're going to be having fun playing the game and everything. But I know we're going to be moving forward into Uma EX as we are making these videos and whatnot. But that's pretty much it, soldiers. I hope you're all going to have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend on top of that. We have a Saturday video that's kind of new here, but I'm excited to see what you soldiers are going to have to say in terms of what's going to win for Grand Showdown. But I wanted to make sure your soldiers are all safe in whatever you do tonight and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah, TRINN. Just to get you away. What I got to do, what I got to do.